So first of all, thank you very much for asking me along. It's a pleasure to be here. I like to get out to as many of these meetings as I can. This was my first of 3 this week, and it's a pleasure to be here in Cambridge. I think I'm just going to give a little bit of background to the remit that government gave me as Mayor, and then I'm going to put in some context around that, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the plans that we have as a planning authority to try and solve the wider transport issues of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and particularly with regard to you guys, of course, the south of Cambridge. So I was elected last year in May with a remit to deliver improved infrastructure for the county, 100,000 extra homes above the local plan, and improve the skills offer as well. So they were the 3 main areas that those of us who stood for election campaigned on. And as you will be aware, particular pressure on housing and transport is in the south of the county. In actual fact, the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Independent Economic Review, which is released on Friday, makes it absolutely clear that government must help me deliver on the metro system that I've planned in order to alleviate the problems that we have. So, unlike you, I don't have the privilege of being a Cambridgeshire resident, or Cambridge resident rather. I'm from the world's greatest town, Sept, which is just up there somewhere, and I don't live here. But it is my hometown as such, my home city. I live 14 miles away or so almost all of my life, apart from the 2 years that I was at Agricultural College just a couple of miles away in Milton. So whilst I don't have the insider knowledge of the residents of Cambridge, I have quite a lot of knowledge of what it's like to live in and use this city. I know that the city is an exceptional place. I know it's somewhere that is world-renowned. I know wherever I travel to in the world in the position of mayor, people know Cambridge. I don't have to explain where I'm from, unlike some of the other mayors in the country. And it's very important to me that we protect the rural nature of the city of Cambridge. It's very important to me that we protect the villages that surround the county. But it's also very important to me that the next generation and the generation after can actually afford to live here. And those of you who are as old as I am will know that this area has gone from being a relatively affordable place to live with a rural agricultural feel and a great university to being one which is highly expensive to live in and obviously dependent on the local growth in life science and technology. And that's happened over a very quick period of time, 15, 20 years. Total change. So how do we solve the traffic problem here? And how do we create jobs that don't destroy the fabric and nature of our beautiful countryside? Well, I absolutely believe the metro is the answer, amongst others, but it is the strongest answer. Linking our science parks, linking our areas of largest growth around the county. So if we look at St Neots in Cambridgeshire and Haven and Suffolk, and linking to areas of potential growth, Millwall Air Base being the clearest and most obvious one. But also building garden villages outside of the area, which are linked directly through the metro system into Cambridge, into those science parks. Coming into the city in the morning, once you get into the city, it's much strange to you, once you get into the city, the work is done. It's getting around the city where the problems are. And the metro system allows us to bring people from a distance, under the city, to where they're working, which is generally, as I say, those 5 science parks that we have in Cambridgeshire. Of course, most of the growth in South Cambridgeshire has been out at Camborne in the west. Unfortunately, Camborne was built without a metro, without a railway, and it's very, very difficult for those people who live there to get to their place of work. So we've got to retrofit that, we've got to get out there and do that. But it's more than just putting the metro system in. It's more than just building the houses in the garden villages. It's making sure that the villages that already exist are linked into the metro system by a high quality bus service. And I don't have to tell you that the bus service in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough is not the greatest it could possibly be. And we've got a full review going on at the moment, which will come out towards the end of November, which I will act on and be investing in. So the new bus routes that come forward to serve the metro will be not bus routes that go from point A into the city, but that link the villages and towns to the metro system. Rather than everybody trying to get into the city in their cars and buses, we want to feed people into the city via the metro system. Try to make sure that most people who need to travel either to the science parks or into the city do not have to get into a car. I don't hate cars, I drive one myself, and if you grew up in the countryside as I did, they'd be quite an important way of getting around. But if you bring in an extra 70,000 homes in the south of Cambridgeshire, on top of the local plan, which I think is 33,000 homes, over a 20-year period, it's quite obvious the car is not going to be the answer to moving people around. So we've got to try and design the car out. I also believe, and some of you would be surprised at this, but I do, and I've said so publicly before, I believe in a congestion charge for the centre of Cambridge. But not before we have a public transport answer. Not before we have a metro. Now some might say it's fanciful to build a metro in a city the size of Cambridge. 120, 130,000 people, please don't quote me on that, might get it wrong a bit, because it hasn't been done before. Well, I would say if there's anywhere in the country which is famous for doing things first, above and beyond everywhere else, it's got to be Cambridge. How can we afford to deliver a metro system that's probably going to cost £2.5 to £3 billion in a city like Cambridge? Well, the answer is, it isn't a metro system for the city of Cambridge. It's a metro system for the south of Cambridgeshire. It's a metro system to link growth in housing to growth in business. And it's the metro system that we can use the powers of the combined authority and negotiation and allow us to raise finance from the current system. Simple analogy, land in the south of Cambridgeshire is worth in excess of £1 million an acre if you want to develop it. We're looking to buy sites, agricultural land, at around 10 times agricultural price. That's about £80,000 an acre. We've already signed an option on one site, and we are in conversations with 7 other landowners, which would give us the land to build those garden villages, and the uplift in the value of the land from selling the market homes on those garden villages will allow us to raise the finance to build the metro system. So it's not about putting taxes up to do it. It's not about raising finance from government to effect. It's about making sure that we can raise the finance through the system and we can get investors in to discuss with us, and that's exactly where they are. So not only are we talking to landowners, we're talking to investors as well who want to be a part of the success of this great city, and they see that a metro system will allow us to move from a 20th century transport solution to a 21st century transport solution. So that's, you might say, a long-term vision, but the timescale we're working to for delivery of this system is 2023 to 2029. These are not figures that I've just plucked out of the air. These are figures given to me last week by ARAP, and the people who are working on this system for ARAP worked on and are working on Crossrail and Crossrail 2, and these are serious people in delivery. So 9 months delay. I'll take a 9 month delay on a major system, but the reality is the alternative to not doing something substantial, to not doing something exceptional, is continued or continuing with the status quo. And as I just mentioned, the housing growth necessary to feed the economy, the housing growth necessary to allow our young people to take advantage of lower cost housing is going to help us to deliver the metro system. But if we don't deliver the metro system, we will still be in the same situation in 15, 20 years' time right now. So I am deadly serious I'm quite happy for people to laugh at me and say I'm insane, because if I get it right, then I am not insane, and if I get it wrong, well, you don't have to vote me in next time anyway, so I can always go and do something else. But I truly believe this is the right answer. And I will always believe this is the right answer. This is an exceptional city, and it's this exceptional county, and it deserves the best in the public transport system. In the short term, we're working with the GCP to try and accelerate some of the busways and the park and rides. I'm not a big fan of park and ride. All it does to me is move the problem to another area, so I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand we have to have a short-term solution to help out the growth of the campus. But we're also working with government to accelerate the delivery of Cambridge South Station, which was predicted for 2028. We now believe that we can get up and running by 2021. And we're working with the Ministry of Transport and Network Rail to deliver on that promise. So it's improvement of our services, delivery of Cambridge South Railway Station, acceleration on the park and ride sites in coalition with the GCP, and a metro system for Cambridgeshire. That's the plan. We're working on it now, and I promise you we will do absolutely everything to deliver. Now, I haven't spoken for 15 minutes. It's not often politicians go under their time, but I'm entirely happy to take as many questions as people want to ask.